Tonight on WVUA News at 6, we're taking you live inside DCH Regional Medical Center where more than a dozen people were treated yesterday after the Tuscaloosa mass shooting. And we'll have new details on what investigators say the suspect did before and after the shooting. And we'll have the latest from Northport on another case where police say a man was beaten to death and now a suspect is charged with his murder.
You're watching Alabama's WVUA News at 6 with your award-winning news team, Lynn Brooks, Philip Coleman, weather with Richard Scott, and sports with Gary Harris.
Thanks for joining us. Coming off the heels of the mass shooting that happened in downtown Tuscaloosa early Tuesday morning, there's another investigation unfolding in Northport where police say a man is dead and another is being charged with his murder.
We'll have much more on the Northport shooting in just a moment, but first, the latest on the mass shooting. We're learning more about the man police believe is responsible. The details in that are in our top story at 6 o'clock. 44-year-old Nathan Van Wilkins of Northport is charged with 18 counts of attempted murder, 1 count of shooting into an occupied building, and 1 count of shooting into an occupied dwelling. He has been being charged on $2 million bond. Jasper police tell us Wilkins told them he wanted to be killed by police but changed his mind and got away. He was picked up in Jasper hours later at a local business. According to authorities, Wilkins is currently under suicide watch. Now, 17 people were hurt in the shooting in Temerson Square. 5 are still being treated in the hospital. We've got some more information on those people and how they were treated at DCH Regional Medical Center. 3 men who survived a direct hit at the Copper Top were healthy enough to go home today. Right now, 2 shooting victims are still at DCH. Both are men. One of those men is in serious condition and requires around-the-clock care in the intensive care unit. The other man is in fair condition. In all, 17 people were brought into the emergency room. It's the largest single group of people that DCH has treated since the April 27th tornado. Tonight, we all know the dramatic way it unfolded behind the scenes here. Look at some of the video from the DCH Regional Medical Center emergency room. Of course, people were coming in. They'd been hit by bullet fragments, and the most seriously wounded came later by ambulance. But they first required treatment on the scene at the Copper Top. As shooting victims were pouring in, police were worried the shooter might come to DCH Regional Medical Center, so they moved everyone in the waiting room to the auditorium that you just saw. The entire hospital was put on lockdown with armed guards at every entrance.
Because there's a large plate glass window between us and them, and presumably if someone was crazy enough to shoot up a bar, he might just pull up in front of an emergency room and shoot his way through your window.
Now, physicians at DCH Regional Medical Center are hopeful the final 2 shooting victims will recover. Meanwhile, having 3 people take a direct hit from a bullet to be able to walk out of the emergency room is certainly something, out of the hospital is something the DCH staff is celebrating this evening.
Now, here's one more look at the condition of the victims involved in the shooting at the Copper Top Bar.
That's right. DCH Regional Medical Center spokesman Brad Fisher says 3 people have been released. Fisher says 1 patient remains in serious condition in the intensive care unit. 1 is in fair condition. A total of 18 people were hit by either gunshots or debris in the shootings combined. Now, our coverage continues on this mass shooting. Later in the news at 6, you'll hear from the manager of the Copper Top Bar, where more than a dozen people were shot, on what's next for his business.
Now the latest on a murder investigation in Tuscaloosa County. Last night, the body of 78-year-old Kenneth McDaniel was found next to his home near the Huntington Place community.
According to the Tuscaloosa County Sheriff's Office, 29-year-old Christopher Patton has been charged with murder in connection with the case. Authorities say he allegedly beat McDaniel to death with a pipe. WVUA reporter Tommy Townsend takes you through the investigation step by step.
This home right off Highway 43 is normally quiet and peaceful, but last night it was the scene of a tragedy.
The body of Kenneth McDaniel, 79 years of age, was found lying beside the air conditioning unit on the west side of the house. It appeared to deputies that Mr. McDaniel had been struck multiple times in the head with a blunt instrument.
Shortly after receiving calls, police began searching for the suspect, who had already run away.
The suspect traveled on foot through these woods out to Huntington Place subdivision, and local authorities say that's where the capture was actually made.
We responded to 3 calls at this address, of which it is believed that Patton has been there before, trespassing.
When the investigation moved to Huntington Place, many in the neighborhood couldn't believe a murder suspect could be in their midst.
He was hiding out in the woods in our neighborhood and just told me to go inside and lock the doors, and it's just kind of scary to know that's happening in your neighborhood.
It's almost surreal. We just almost didn't really know what was going on. But there were so many police officers that we knew that whatever had happened was bad.
Mary Montgomery aided in the search by letting police come through her living room and get a better look into the woods. She says the news of Kenneth McDaniel's death was a shock.
And a lot of times we would stop and he would stop and talk to us. Very kind gentleman. And his grandson played with my son at Kentucky baseball. Just very kind man.
In Tuscaloosa County, Tommy Townsend, WVUA News.
Patton is being held on $70,000 bond. Now a clarification on a story we brought you yesterday that involves a tuberculosis investigation.
We told you that this happened at a Subway restaurant on Skyland Boulevard, but the video we showed you yesterday was not the correct location. Officials say the correct location is the Subway at 4416 Skyland Boulevard East. State health officials say TB was identified in one of the employees at that location, and they are working to screen other employees. The health department has notified Subway management of this investigation. A health officer says customers should not be alarmed because TB is not transmitted through food or utensils. TB is a treatable and a preventable airborne disease. Officials say only those people in close contact with the case need to be treated and tested.
Still to come here for you on WVUA News at 6, the latest on the recovery of the Copper Top Bar. WVUA is speaking